Welcome lacrosse fans to the final week of Thunder Classics presented to you by A&W Langley. Tonight we rewind to the 2012 season and Game 1 of the Western Lacrosse Association Finals between the Coquitlam Adanacs and the defending WLA champs, the Langley Thunder. Joining us from that 2012 squad is Ian Poole. Ian was drafted in the second round in 2004 out of the New Westminster Junior program by Maple Ridge and joined Langley in 2009 as a free agent signing. Ian, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So, how did you end up with Langley? What made you decide to choose Langley in 2009?
Well, after my stint with Maple Ridge, which was like 3 years, I ended up moving to the States and coaching lacrosse at a university. So I was there for, I think it was like two and a half years. And then when I moved back, I was a free agent. So I decided, I called up Rob Bucket and said, hey, I'm looking to play lacrosse, and I came for a tryout, and that was kind of the start.
So 2010 saw you become Langley's regular face-off man, and you won 54% of the draws those first two summers. In 2012, it shot up to 586 to lead the WLA. What changed in the off-season to make a good jump like that?
Well, I think it was more just kind of understanding the people I was facing off against and kind of learning as I go. So over the years, you keep playing against the same people, and I just kind of kept it in my mind of things I needed to do while I was doing it to be successful. And over the summer, I worked out a little bit and I practiced face-offs, but it's hard to do face-offs by yourself. So I just worked on kind of quick movements and working on getting ground balls, and that was how I became successful at doing the face-offs.
So what speaking of practicing, it is a hard skill to practice. You can practice your shot, you can practice passing. What would you say to young guys? Like, how do you work on a skill like that outside of a team setting? Is it just a matter of finding another guy and just going head to head?
No, I think you can do a lot by yourself. I mean, a lot of it is just taking the time. So, I mean, getting down and just practicing your kind of quick twitch muscles, right? Just as fast as you can. I mean, I was always a what they call motorcycle grip style. So your two hands forward, kind of like this. And I just worked on kind of as fast as I can. And then sometimes I would get a whistle and record it and then kind of just listen for whistles and then just practice, but not all the time. But every once in a while I would do that to try and get timing down, right? So as soon as you hear the whistle, that's all I focused on, was turning my wrists and going.
So prior to 2012 or 2010, pardon me, what kind of experience did you have face-offs? Had you played that role with Maple Ridge or anywhere, or?
No, not really. I mean, I went to university for field lacrosse, and I played more offense. And then when I came back, I'd taken a few face-offs here and there, and I knew I could do them. And then during practices that we were starting to do face-offs, and I was like, I'll take some, and I just was doing good. And then over time, I just kept. The more you do, the better I was getting. And, it also helps when you have really good teammates around you to pick up the loose balls and things like that, which we had. So that's the majority of the reason why I was successful, is that the guys around me were very helpful, right? They were the ones picking up the ball.
So 2010, 2011, good numbers. You won more than you lost, which is the goal always. But 2012, 693 winning percentage in the playoffs and 605 in the Mann Cup. What do you remember about that month-long stretch that had you so on your game?
Well, I mean, at that point, you're so kind of, I get pumped up, right? So when it comes to playoffs and any game, really, like my sole focus is doing my job and my role that I'm assigned. So my job was to take the face-off, just get the ball, and let's get our offense rolling. And that was my focus, and I just was doing good. It's hard to explain, but the more I do it, the more confidence you get, the better I was finding myself. And through the run of the playoffs, and especially in the Mann Cup, it was a lot of adrenaline and just kind of going with the flow, and it was working for me. So
describe the feeling of winning a big face-off.
Well, it's a great feeling, obviously, to win faceoffs, and especially at the most important time, because your team is really kind of relying on you to get that ball for them, right? And face-offs, I mean, even though box across is really back and forth, getting that possession is really important. So when you win that face-off and you come off the floor and everyone's pumped up because you did a great job, it just makes you want to go out and do it again, even more, and just keep winning, right?
So 2012 also saw you win the WLA's Fred Rooster Award as the league's unsung hero. What did that award mean to you? And
yeah, that's an amazing award. I mean, I never really thought I was even in the running for any awards, and I got a call from Jerry say, "Oh, I got a plaque for you." And so he showed up and gave me this unsung hero award, and it was just a great feeling that you can see your accomplishments, right? People start to see like, oh, this is, face-offs and defense is an important role, and if you work hard and you just stay focused and you do your role, you'll be recognized at some point.
your first full season in the WLA with Maple Ridge, 2005, 16 goals in 16 games. So, a goal a game, which is great. You showed you could score. The rest of your career, you managed 17 goals over 106 WLA games. Is it hard to, set aside an ego and you're used to scoring goals, but now you're a face-off defensive guy? Is that hard, or it's a team game and you do whatever it's going to take to win?
I'm a firm believer you do what it takes to win. Like I'm more about winning than I am about myself. So, I mean, obviously I like my personal accomplishments and things like that, but I just want to do what's best. And I also want to be playing, right? So I'm doing whatever I can to always be on the floor. I mean, when I first went to Maple Ridge, I was playing more offense because I was coming out of university where I was playing field and I was a midfielder, attackman. But my whole career in New West as a junior, I played defense. So I was used to playing defense, and I had a few years of Maple Ridge where I was playing offense, and I was doing okay. And then when I went to Maple Ridge, I kind of went back to what I was doing before, which is the defense, transition, things like that. And then face-offs kind of came into it, and I was happy with my role because I was playing every game, and that was that was my main goal.
All you cared about was being in the lineup, right?
That's true, yeah.
All right, let's back it up a little bit. How did you end up in lacrosse?
Through my dad and my parents, really. They played my dad played lacrosse growing up, and when we were about 4 years old, they signed me up. I mean, I have an older brother, Brian. He played lacrosse too, so that made it easy. Pretty much everything he did, I was into. So when I was 4 years old, they just put me in, and ever since I've played. I took 1 year off when I was like in novice to play baseball, and I won't talk bad about baseball, but I won't do that again.
So speaking of brothers, were you the annoying little brother who's tagging along? Wherever Brian went, you went. Whatever he did, you wanted to do?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah. I think almost like a role model. He's we pretty much grew up playing everything together, right? I was a little bit younger, 3 years younger, so it wasn't until I was about 12 where he really let me start playing with him because I kind of got taller than him, so I was allowed to join the group. But I mean, we played junior lacrosse together. We went to the same university together. We played WLA for a few years together. We do the same job. I mean, it's it's yeah. I'd say we've been around each other a lot.
How much has he influenced you?
A lot. I mean, I've always looked up to my brother, right? So he's always been a big part of my life. He like I said, everything that he's pretty much done, I've kind of followed. It just, my goal was always to try and be better.
So I found an old article I did on you back in 2012 when you won your award, and in it you talked about your dad and how he set the work ethic for you and your siblings to follow. How much of a role has your dad played in your development and shaping who you are today?
My dad's, I mean, he's been great. I mean, he was tough on us, and especially when it came to sports and things like that, but it really made me who I am today, right? I mean, my work ethic is you do what you have to do, you get it done, you work hard, and you don't complain. And I've kind of lived by that my whole life, and it's done really well for me. And I, owe it all to my dad for really instilling that stuff into me, that you work hard, be respectful, do your job, and people will want you around.
So when your time with Langley was done, you continued the game at the Senior B level with the Langley Warriors, and then you guys won the 2016 West Coast Senior Lacrosse title. So what has the sport meant to you? Like winning 3 titles in I think it's a 6-year span there.
Well, lacrosse has been a huge thing. I mean, it's introduced me to a lot of people. It's where how I got my job. I mean, lacrosse has been really everything to me. So, going into the Senior B was more a commitment thing. I have 4 kids now, so to be able to put my time into lacrosse, it was tough, right? Plus with my kids and my work, so lacrosse. It's been everything to me, and I keep playing because my friends still play, and as we get older, it's starting to slow down, but I still enjoy playing it now. So I'm not quitting anytime soon. I know that.
How old are the kids? Do you have them playing lacrosse yet?
Yeah. So I have 4 kids now. I have one will be 8, one will be 6. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old. So my 2 oldest ones are playing. So they play one would have been in the Tyke, a 2nd-year Tyke, and one would have been a 2nd-year mini Tyke this year. So I'm coaching them now. So that's busy too. So when you're trying to play and coach, it gets to be a lot. So this year, kind of being this off year, has been a little bit different, just because it's the first year I've never really had lacrosse in however many years. I'm 38, so it's been about 30 years I've been playing lacrosse every summer. So trying to keep them busy and getting them out playing lacrosse and doing things, that's kind of the goal. But it's a little bit tough, but we're working on it.
I think we're all hanging in there somehow.
Yeah.
Now, even before you had kids and coaching, I know you did some coaching with your brother. What got you into coaching, and what's the importance of coaching to you?
Well, I always found that I enjoyed kind of coaching the game, like learning the game and teaching other people. So when I came home from university, I was here for a little bit, and I decided to start coaching in Langley Field Lacrosse. So I was doing that for a little while. So I did that for 5 or 6 years, and then I coached with Team BC also for field lacrosse for 6 years. And I just like to be able to mentor kids and educate them on the game and what they can do to be successful and what the options are for them, and just be a role model for kids, right? So that was always my main goal, and that's why I kind of got into coaching, is because I like that interaction with the young players, and just kind of teaching them and showing them, and hoping that they enjoy the game as much as I do.
Have there been coaching influences along the way that have sort of shaped your style of coaching?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my I did more field lacrosse coaching in the last few, like probably 10 years has been more field. So my main influence was my college coach. His name was Coach Talk, and I went to school in Pittsburgh, but he was a Canadian guy that a little older, and he had a pretty hard-nosed attitude, so he didn't take no stuff from anybody. So I kind of learned from him and just kind of picked up styles from him, and then incorporated my own stuff, and that's kind of how I rolled.
That's all I have for you today. Thank you once again for joining us today, Ian. Lacrosse fans, get ready as we go back to August 19th, 2012 for the final game of Thunder Classics, presented to you by A&W Langley. Enjoy the game.
Thanks, guys.